So, I guess it's 9 o'clock in Copenhagen. So I think we should just jump out into it and see how it goes. Welcome everybody to this Service Lift release webinar. We are very happy that so many of you have actually found the time to join us, and we'll just do our best to give you a good time and let you get a lot of information, hopefully the information you are looking for. My name is Grønlund. I'm a project manager at GWO in the training team. I am a team of 6 or 7 people, and we spend most of our time developing training standards, reviewing training standards, and we also do a lot of other projects related to GWO trainings globally. But this is the Lift webinar, and my first slide is just to present the team. Maddie, who is my colleague in the training team, she will be taking care of our chat and our question and answers functions. And Elisa is our new communication Yoda, and she is sitting making all the technical stuff work. This is the first time this team is doing a webinar, so sometimes we may have to say, will you do this or can I do that? But we'll see how it goes. So bear with us. My plan for this next hour is these short introductions. We will also just pose a few questions to find out who you are and where you are. And then I will present the overall changes and some argumentation for why we have done those changes to the Lift standard. The Lift standard is not a new standard. It's more than a year old. It's actually 2 years old. And there's a background for why we did this review. I'll talk about that as well. Questions, please ask your questions if you have questions along the way, put them in the chat, or I think there's also a Q&A function. There is a Q&A function. Addie is nodding. So if you have questions, post them, and we will try to answer them as we go along. And we may have to ask you to unmute yourself and show your picture if we should have you to unfold a question, because it may be more complex than it was intended to be. So don't be afraid to show your face if we ask you to do so. Here we go. First, I would like to know who you are out there. Elisa will just share a poll now to see what is your role in the GWO organization. Are you a training provider? Are you a manager or instructor? So please share the poll, Elisa. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm curious about the other, but if you feel like you need to say who you are, some of the others, please share in the chat, because that is interesting. But I'm happy also to see that training providers and instructors and training managers are here, because you are probably the ones who are to deliver the lift trainings in the future. Next question for us before we jump into the presentation is just to get a picture of where you are in the world. I'm always amazed on how global we actually are. No, not that we are, but that we have so many colleagues around the world. I think it's amazing. So please chip in on the poll where you are in the world. Yeah. Do we have a result, Alyssa? Europe. North America, someone is up very late or has got out of bed very early. Thank you for that. The rest of you, thank you. I hope it's still light outside where you are in Europe. I know it is because I can see it. Wonderful. This is nice just to get a feeling of the world map where we are.
And a quick technicality, Thomas.
Yes.
I got a couple of messages in the Q&A. The first is that the chat is disabled by the host. I think that's okay. I think if we stick to the Q&A section, it'll allow us to send messages to the group. So if you see that, that's maybe our preferred method of sharing, if that works for everybody. And then we got another message saying that other could be a certification body.
Of course, yes. And this is, I'm very happy because of that. And I think we should add that to the list next time, because having auditors or certification bodies on these webinars is also very valuable, because we will also address some of your challenges maybe. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. No, I just have to. It's amazing with these world maps, isn't it? That when I draw a world map, I always start with Denmark, even though it's so small that you normally can't even see it. But we're always in the center of things, aren't we? Okay, bad joke. Friday morning. Here we go. So what I'm saying on this slide is that every 12 months after a training standard has been released, it undergoes a review, because when it has been in operation for a year, we have normally got a lot of feedback and experiences with what is working, what is not working, and what should be optimized in the standards. So this is standard procedure that we also do a review on the lift training standard. We made a work group with the small picture in the bottom of the slide, with representatives from Enercon, from Vestas, from Siemens Gamesa, and some training providers from Spain, Total HSE, and Huerta in Poland. And thank you for the work group, of course, for sharing all your experiences with the lift trainings. What we did, sort of headline-wise, to the standard was that we expanded the sections of terms and definitions. In the beginning of the standard, for all our standards, we have a list of terms that we use in the standard that we are defined, so that you guys should know what do we actually mean when we say track, hoist, something. And I think this terms and definition section is now 4 or 5 pages, because we could see that there was really a need, because we had a lot of inquiries from people. There was really a need for us to make it clear what is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about components in the lifts. We retitled the standard and the modules. It's now not the lift standard, it's now actually the service lift standard. And the modules, I'll come back to the names of those afterwards. We've also made an alignment between the learning objectives and the learning activities where it was needed, and it was needed a lot. There were many places where we could make the learning activities more clear. What is it actually that we suggest the instructors to do to reach the learning objectives in the individual learning elements, training elements. Yeah, we've done a big effort on that, actually. It took a lot of time, but I think we have actually made a pretty good standard out of it now. We've also taken out some of the elements, had 4, 5, 6, 7 learning objectives for a 20 minutes or 30 minutes element, which is quite ambitious. We have taken out most of these learning objectives, so that each of the elements will normally have 1, maybe 2 learning objectives. And then instead we have written a lot of activities for what they should actually practice to reach the overall learning objective of the element. There are some benefits in that, and one benefit is that it will be easier for the instructor to to see what should I actually do, what should I tell them, what tools, what components should we be working with, and it will be easier for the instructor to assess if the participants actually are they there, are they doing what I expect them to, where I expect them to be to fulfill the learning objective. Also, it will be easier for an auditor to see are they doing what the standard tells them to do, because they will be doing a lot. And finally, it should also make it more easy, or make it more doable to apply some digital technical training tools like virtual reality, or just other simulators or other digital tools, because we talk a lot about activities and not so much about learning objectives. I'll get back to this in a moment. This is just to the in-flight to the presentation. And finally, we redesigned module 2 and 3 because they are sort of, 2 and 3 are sort of the same. They are just different. They're the same because they follow the same. Now they follow the same structure. Lesson 5 in both of them is about traction hoist or whatever. So there's an alignment between them. But of course, the taxonomic level of the complexity of module 3 is much higher than in module 2. But they follow now the same structure, and we are very happy about that in the work group as well, because it should make it easier for you guys to use the standard. Service Lift Training Standard module titles. We had a lot of inquiries about what is this module actually for? What is the target group for this module? Can we just do half of the installation, inspection, and repair, and then do something later so that they only get the inspection and maintenance? And no. So what we're trying to do also in this illustration is to say that we have 3 different modules. We have the lift user module, and then we have the 1-day inspection and maintenance module, and then we have the 2 days module on installation, inspection, and repair. And it's not possible. This is just to say, because we have had some questions on that. It's not possible to take part of the installation, inspection, and repair, and then another part later, because all the activities on this, even though we're still touching inspection and maintenance in the 2 days training, but all the learning objectives are on a higher level. So it's not so that we first do the small one and then we put an extra day on. It's all what do you say, Maddie, when things are entangled or they're
intertwined.
Intertwined. Thank you very much. I love it when we have English people in the room. Thank you for that. So, and then we renamed them to make this the target group, make it easier to see what the target group, what they are. And we also adjusted the scope so the wordings on the scope is more clear. Who is this training meant for? And please ask questions if this is too blurry what I'm saying. We've done more than 600 changes to the standard. We have an Excel sheet that is humongously big with changes. It's small changes like there's missing a comma, there's a wrong spelling, there's a typo, to all the big changes also. And what I've chosen to do is I've put what I think are the substantial changes. I've put those in the standard, in the changelog, 1 page for each module. And if you guys need to see what other changes have been made, we can share the Excel sheet. But I'm just warning you, it is humongous. It's really complex. What I am suggesting is that if you're doing the training, if you want to see what the changes are, then do what I did when I made the changelog. I took the new version and I took the present version or the old version, and then I just read it and said, is this the same? Oh no, this has been changed. And I really advise you to do that, to see what are the changes, because there are so many, and it makes no sense to sit in an Excel sheet to see, oh, there's a comma that has been changed and blah blah blah. So this is just my advice from my own experience. Take the 2 standards and go through them. Yeah, I know it takes time, but that is the easiest way. We've done it to support clarity of concepts, learning activities, and technical topics. You can read it. And while you're reading, I'll just show this 10 seconds video to inspire you to always remember when you do the lift trainings, have manuals that the participants can use, manuals from your lift, but also manuals from other lift types, so that they can see what are the difference. And because it's a generic training and you have to cover as many different lift types as possible. So use the manual. I'll just get my thing. Here it is. And it is when you are teaching these modules and you say, this is a traction hoist on this lift. What would it look like on another lift? And then the participants will get to know that there are different types of hoists and stuff. And that is a very important part of the lift training. We've also got, when we developed the standard, we got a lot of feedback, both from manufacturers, from safety organizations, and also from training providers and members that said that it's not possible to make maintenance or do repairs on any lift and learn that in 2 days. It's not possible. And we say, no, but you learn the principles. You learn the principles of how does a lift work, or how does it function, and then you have this mindset is in your DNA that you use the book. You don't do anything without consulting the book, and that's the whole point. And we have to keep pushing that on the trainings. Use the book, and it has to be done. One of the key changes: less learning objectives, more activity. We know that people learn when they do something. So we would like the participants to practice as much as possible. We have transformed 40% of the learning objectives into observable learning activities, as I said earlier. And I think it has created a very good and dynamic training standard, actually, or modules. There's a lot of activities now to plan for. And this on the left side, the picture is just to present that. I think there was in element 6.3, there were, this is actually 2 elements that has been merged, and there was together, there may be 7 or 8 learning objectives, and they have been cut down into just one learning objective, and then some activities they have to do. And this is a very busy slide, I know, but I couldn't stop myself when I started putting illustration on it. The point is about the questionnaires. We get a lot of inquiries about the questionnaires. There are questionnaires in the end of most of the theory lessons. And these questionnaires is actually, if we look at this learning cycle up here, we know that people learn when they do something and when they think about what they're doing. That's where the learning happens. So when you have presented theory and maybe have asked some questions and got some short answers, yes, no, to, blue, whatever the answers are, if you recap on that theory after each lesson, just with 1 or 2 questions on each topic, the participants will do this learning cycle once again, and they will remember the theory much better if they're just recapped on it. I was in a sea survival training last year, or maybe the year before, where one of the young guys, in the end of the day, he was asked, so did we reach the learning objectives? And he said, honestly, I don't remember anything from the first 2 hours because it was theory, because it was just presentation. And that is a waste of your time, and it's a waste of the participants' time, where they could actually have done a lot of learning. So I think these questionnaires, yes, it can be a bit challenging to find questions, but I mean, you're the experts, so you know what questions you should ask. So it shouldn't be rocket science for you to do it. And some questions you can make could be easy questions for them to answer, and some questions could be a little more complex, where they have to maybe look into the book, because we love it when they do that, and they get used to doing it. And you can use Kahoot or Mentimeter so they can use their mobile phones, or you can do the old school thing with a paper questionnaire, whatever. But I really suggest that you follow the modules and do those questionnaires. I put the learning pyramid also. Of course, it's manipulative. Is that a word? I don't know. But of course, these percentages are not exact, and it's not science. But they show sort of the message is that when we receive a lecture, maybe we have 5% of we learn 5% of what is being said, and if we discuss what it's about, then we learn 50%. And if we actually practice doing it, we learn a lot more. So this is the whole point. The more we do, the more we learn. The less we do, yeah, you get it.
We did get one question in about this part.
Yes, please.
Yeah, how would you suggest this part? I'm thinking they mean including questionnaires for VR training.
I think the wonderful thing about VR is that you can actually, when you're wearing the goggles and you're seeing whatever environment you are in, you can, as the programmer, you can post some questions if you like, and the participant can just point maybe on the right answers. So it's difficult for him to maybe do it on voice to answer questions, but he may have some questions possibilities that he can virtually point at to say, this is my answer to this question. Or he can also, maybe if you want to program it, and now it gets a little complex, I know, but you can actually point to another side where you have the manuals for the rack and pinion lift, and for the wire driven lift, and for the ladder guided lift, or whatever. And you can click on that manual, and page 45 is where you should find your answer. Amazing. And then you can post it's only the fantasy that set the boundaries, and also the money to pay for the programming of the virtual reality training, of course. Yeah. I hope that was an okay answer. Okay, again, one more. I know Tesigno in Spain, they use the virtual reality as part of the in-person training. And so if you wanted to do some of the theory questionnaires, you could do it after or before, in between the virtual exercises. So because they're not wearing goggles the whole day, they're taking off and on and off and practicing. Okay. The last thing here is the alignment triangle. This is important stuff. This is some of the key points in the GWO taxonomy, is that when we have a learning objective, that people should be able to do something, then they have to practice doing that. If they have to be able to tie their shoelaces, it's not enough that we show a picture on a PowerPoint. This is a shoelace. They don't learn how to tie it by doing that. They have to practice doing it. And when they do that, it's also easy for the instructor to evaluate that they're actually doing what they should learn. And then there's alignment. We've done a great effort, I think, big effort to align our learning activities with the learning objectives in the lift standard. Yeah, this is what I said in the beginning. I advise you guys to look into take both standards and go through them. Maybe you don't have to read them, but you can skim them. But I really advise you to do it that way, because then you will see the differences, and it'll also be easier for you to change your presentations and your design of learning activities. The picture here is just to say this was from a lift training where they had a rack and pinion lift and not a wire driven lift or wire guided lift. So to work on how to work with the wires on a wire guided lift, they had this mock-up where they actually could practice shortening and tightening and adjusting wires. So this is just to show that you don't have to have 3 different lifts. You can have 1 lift or 2 functional lifts, and then make some mock-ups, make some show and tell things that the participants can work with. So the last part of my initial presentation is just to talk about winter. I'm certainly not an expert, but I know this, that we have the old winter codes for the lift user, the LCI and the LCIIM. They are now changed to new codes according to the new module names and also the standard names. These codes, the new codes, they will be used from 24th of June this summer. So that's 1.5 months ago. They have been in operation. You can still use the old training standard for training until Christmas evening, actually. It's 24th of December. But from then on, there will only be version 4, the Service Lift Training Standard, in operation. If this creates any questions, please send them to us. And I'll try to answer that. So far, so good. This was sort of my initial presentation. If there are no questions or anything, I will move on because I have some extra in the luggage here. So just to say, what is the foundation? How did we get to this reviewed modules? We did it. We updated our risk assessments. We have got wiser on lifts. We sent out surveys. We sent it to GWO members. We sent surveys to training providers, and we also made a public hearing of the draft for the standard. We had it was 3 or 4 weeks on LinkedIn, where people could comment, provide feedback if they like. We didn't get much. We were not surprised, but we didn't get much. And I'll just ask you, now that you are here, in the future, when we ask some questions, we actually ask our questions to you guys because we want to improve our products. And one way to improve it is to get your feedback. What works, what doesn't work. So I'll just say, if you get a survey in the mail, it's an amazing big help for us if you actually return it to us. We also send some direct mails to relevant organizations such as lift manufacturers and other members of GWO, and some training providers that I knew or we knew were actually quite lift training interested. We got feedback from G+ and from UK HSE specialists. Then of course the workgroup members and the training committee members also provided a lot of feedback along the way. So I think we have been fairly out in most corners to get some feedback and good advice and suggestions. This is just to show, this is what we got from training providers in our survey. Some good ideas. We have been, of course, case handling all incoming suggestions, and I guess I don't know, Elisa, do you know, are we sharing this presentation afterwards? Is it possible to see it? Are we recording it, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is all being recorded, so it will be available.
Yeah. So if you like, you can dig into these seven boxes to see what did we receive and how did we case handle it. It's not much, of course, when we send a lot of inquiries out or surveys out, but it's better than nothing. And thank you to those of you who have actually supported the surveys. Thank you for that. Just a list of, I think we are more than 500 training providers attached to GWO, maybe 600. Does anyone know? No, between 500 and 600.
I think it's like 550. I think that's exactly like
amazing. Exactly. Fantastic. So that's where we are. I don't know why. Well, of course, I know we're all busy. We maybe think this has nothing to do with me. I know we're busy. We're all busy. But sometimes I hope you can find the time to answer some of those surveys. And I think we will also try to make them as short and concise as possible, so that doesn't take too much time. So here's a good one. Now I'm digging a little more into the changes. The scope for each module has been clarified or reworded, which is a big help, I hope for you and for the members also to decide what training should they send the technicians on. The equipment annex, we have tried to clean it up, or we have cleaned the equipment annex up, and there's a few places where this equipment is only needed for the module 3, for example. And in those cases, we have put that in the equipment annex. So if you're only delivering the lift user training, you will not need all the equipment in the annex, but you can see when you read the annex, you can see if there are some special equipment needs for each module. We are taking out the manual handling and warm-up annexes. We still think that warm-up is an important thing in the industry, and it should also be in the training. And my holy advice is that we should build a culture on warming up to mitigate these. Oh, this is the difficult word: musculoskeletal injuries, long-term injuries. So if we warm up before we do practical exercises and the participant get used to this is what we do, we just roll the shoulders or do something, then they may also be doing it when they go to work before they start crawling up the tower or whatever they do. And this is just the way to mitigate these injuries that make people handicapped from when they're 55 and tired. So if we can all support that, we should still remember to warm up before we start working on turbine on the lifts also. And the funny thing on this slide is that Oscar, who was in the work group, we are just testing the virtual reality training at Tesignos training facility in Spain. And Oscar is wearing the headset, and he's about to evacuate the lift. This is not part of the lift user syllabus anymore. I can just put a few words on that afterwards. But just to say, and I was just filming Oscar doing it, trying to get out of the lift, grabbing the ladder, and looking 8 meters down. I tried it myself 2 years ago in my living room, and I couldn't get myself to leave the bloody lift. And I said to myself, Thomas, you're an idiot, just standing in your living room. But I was just looking down. It was awful. Anyway, what I found out when I came home and saw this video, I saw that they were actually doing a training just beside us, where this guy, he's standing in the lift, and they are practicing exactly the same as we were doing on virtual reality. It's totally coincidence, and I think it is so funny. So I'll just share it with you. It's just a 10 seconds video, but I think it's totally coincidence. It looks as if it was planned, but it's not. I think that's funny. Anyway, just also to say that we try to, when we make these adjustments in the standards, we try to make them more open for digital solutions as well. Still no questions? I can keep talking.
All I will share is there were a couple of more representative, there's a little bit more representation from people that was found earlier in the chat, more others, if you will. We have a VR software provider in this.
There you go.
As well as auditors, which I do think is probably a considerable group that could be added to the poll, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good info. Thank you for that. If you like to see more details, then go into this presentation afterwards, and you can read all these headlines. Yeah, there's one page for the overall changes, one page for the lift user module. Yeah, and I would just say about the evacuation from the lift. This is an example of where we are not very clear in the language. It said in the old version that you could do the evacuation training if you like, but you don't have to. And if you do it, maybe all the participants, they should have hold a valid working at height training record, and but maybe they shouldn't, and blah blah blah. And there were too many of these loose formulations, and we have cleaned them up. Hopefully all of them. And now it's just say, we're not training evacuation from the lift on the lift user. This is a decision we've made, and mainly because training it, if you are at some point 4 or 5 meters up and you train it with people who are not working height train, it could pose an unnecessary risk. But also because each lift have its own way of opening the doors when you're out there. Each lift have its own evacuation system. So see a movie, have somebody demonstrate it, and then the participants will know, okay, this is how it could work. And then we are saying in the standard that you must expect to do some local familiarization and training when you get out to work on the wind farm where you're going to work, and you will learn how to evacuate their local lift. That is, we think that makes very good sense. So no evacuation of lift on the lift user training or in any of the trainings. And I guess if nobody's having comments or questions on that, I guess this is just agreement, which is wonderful. So also one page for the 1 day module and one page for the 2 days module. We have really tried to call things what they are called and just use one term. And if there are different terms, will be able to see it in the definition section where we are unfolding if there should be any questions. So actually, I'm at the end of my presentation now. I would just like I ask one more time, if there are any questions, please post them. Let's hear. We would like to answer all doubts and questions, whatever you should have. Share comments. Are you ready to deliver this training out there? Well, anyway, do not hesitate to reach out to me or to the training team. We can probably support you, help you, answer your questions, and if we can't, then we know people who can. So whatever training related questions you have, just send them to us and we'll be happy to be in a dialogue with you. That's why we're here. That's how we get wiser all the time also. I just put on my slide here an invitation mainly to instructors, but also to auditors and everybody else who would like to know a little about the pedagogical thoughts in the GWO training standards. We're doing every month, last Monday and every month, we're doing a short webinar, 25 minutes, 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Danish or European, Central European time. We're doing 25 minutes on pedagogical topics that could be interesting for some instructors. We do this partly to share pedagogical stuff with you, but also to sort of invite you guys to participate. We invite, if you're an instructor and you have some special and good experiences with how you create the motivation in the beginning of a training, then you can do 4 minutes presentation on the webinar to sort of tell the rest of the world what you have experienced. And this way I hope we can build not a community, but that we can find out that we are not alone out there. We're not alone here. We are all here. So we are here to help each other to some extent, at least. The next webinar is on next Monday, the 26th, and it's about actually motivation and driving force to learn. It's 25 minutes, so it should be doable. Also, some commercial GWO Safety and Training Awards event 2024 in Orlando. Go to the GWO website and you can apply or submit. I don't know what the right word is, but you can click on the event button and find out how to join. This is also where you click on the button and join the instructor moment webinars from the website. Yeah, look forward to see you here or there, everywhere. Maddie, do you have any final?
You just got you got a little piece of feedback for your presentation, Thomas, that it was a
Wow.
good presentation, clear and concise.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Anything from you, Alyssa?
No, I haven't got any comments from anybody in the audience, so I think we're good.
In that case, we will just say thank you for joining. We, yeah, I hope next time you'll have more questions because I love this dialogue and this is how we grow together. But anyway, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions and stuff. We're here to help. So thank you everybody for today and have a great weekend. It's just around the corner. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.